Welcome to the Bubba Army YouTube channel. So anyway, does your son's team suck? Like,
suck. They're just one of those teams that just does it recreationally. They're not one of the teams that have been together for 5 years.
That, are kind of, they're some rich kids.
They do it for fun. They don't do it to win.
They're just having fun. Exactly. They're not like, they're not.
You wouldn't be saying that if they were winning. Sorry.
Nobody does it for
10-year-olds. Dan, nobody does it for fun. Everybody wants to win. There's different levels of football. I guarantee when the coaches are talking to your kids before the game, like, hey, guys, we're just out here having fun. We don't care if we win or not. Because that's not what my coach was saying.
No way.
I understand that, but I think the competition intensity of a 9-year-old is different than a 17-year-old.
Yeah. Not these days.
Well, that's the difference, Dan. We now make the competition level different amongst the 7 and 8-year-olds than we do the 17s. But when we were kids, man, at 7 and 8, we were like, you guys go out there and whip some ass. It's all about winning.
Yep.
It's all about winning. Don't come back here and get your asses whipped. Like my dad used to say that. Don't strike out 3-4 times, get your ass whipped.
Because then I'll whip you.
You know what Doug Klim would do?
Would your dad punish you like physically if you did poorly in a sport?
Nope.
Because that's kind of a
Here's what he would do though. Here's what he would do. He would not hit me or anything like that, but we would be out Sunday morning hitting balls.
Yep.
At the ballpark.
Going to practice.
Like he'd be like, and my dad put this ball on a rope, this baseball on a rope, and he would spin it, and you would try to hit it, hit that. So like if I did bad, then I didn't get my Sunday off or whatever day. The next day you were at the ballpark. And you were, your dad might
that's
throw.
actually a good dad. That's good dad.
Well, not when he threw the ball at you and hit you. Yeah. I was like, Dad, and your dad, God bless your dad for taking you to the ballpark, but your dad's not a pitcher, okay? Your dad's just not a pitcher. I mean, not everybody's dad's David Wells. I mean, you can throw him in there consistently across the plate,
Where'd you get hit?
Well, your dad would just.
Where did you get hit?
Your dad would be wild. So your dad was trying to put him across the plate, but every time he'd plunk you a few times. He'd be like, "Oh, listen, sorry about that. Just give." And then you wonder why you get scared. You back out of the plate because you've been plunked 14 times by your dad.
Traumatized by your dad's bad pitching.
Bubba, why are you a little bit slow? Well, I had batting practice with my dad. He's a little wild. And here's the worst, man. So your dad would get like 20 or 30 baseballs, and he'd throw, 10 of them were hittable. So you'd hit 10 of them. Well, the other 20 would be back in the backstop. And, of course, my dad would be smoking a cigarette, and he was not going to go shag those balls. So you'd have to go back and get a bucket and then go pick up all those balls, which sucked. Yeah. And if you weren't picking them up fast enough because,
then you were lazy.
Then you'd be like, God, you think that I want to be out here on a Sunday doing this? I could be watching a ball game, but I'm out here trying, and you're not taking this seriously, you lazy fat ass. Then you start running to get the balls a little faster, but then you get a little tired. So when you want to go back up to, you need a little bit of rest before you go back into the batter's box. No. Nope. And there was no bottles of water.
No.
There was no bottles of water.
There's the hose.
Gatorade, Shade, none of that.
No, you were hoping that maybe the ballpark had like a drinking fountain that was turned on. A lot of times they would turn it off because the kids would go there and, mess with it all week. So a lot of times the city would turn it off unless it was games.
Or it's just like a trickle.
Yep. You'd hope you could just suck some type of water out of that
suck
machine.
The metal off of
That's
it.
only if your dad got distracted and you could run over there real fast and get some. There's no bottle of water. Are you getting too hot, Johnny? Do we need to take a rest? No, there was none of that.
And if it's a water fountain, it's just a valve on a pipe. It's not like a refrigerated water fountain either. It's just like a little twist thing, and you're sucking hot.
Right, but it was
metallic.
It tasted so good.
Iron.
I was thinking about how cleanly and everything and sterile everything's got to be nowadays. When I played football in high school, just all growing up through high school, even through college, they had the metal pipe that had holes in it, and remember, Lummy, it was about 14 feet long.
Yep.
And they literally drilled holes into a metal pipe and then put the end of the hose on the end of it, and you just go down there and just get
They turn it on and they shoot it up into
I
it.
got to think about how unsanitary that is going through that lead pipe. Like, I mean, you got water going through a metal pipe.
Well, I remember back in the day, like as a kid, you were driving your bikes and stuff, and like if you got thirsty, you would just stop at a random person's house and go to the side of their house and turn on their spigot and drink some water.
Yep.
Yeah.
100 times.
Yeah.
I've done that 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was your water bottle.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
neighbor's hose.
Yep.
And your neighbor would be cool about it. Like if Mr. Johnson outside, I'd be like, just make sure you turn it off, Dan.
Yeah.
Yep. That first like 10 seconds is really hot.
Yeah.
But then it gets
Especially
cold.
if there was a hose and it
There
was a
was
hose in
no-
the sun, you would kill yourself.
There was no pH balanced, core Evian with a DeSanti kicker.
No.
There was none of that.
Yeah, we'd even share mouthpieces. I mean, it didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Hey, it's just rain. There's puddles and the ditches are all full. They're full of silt and filth and worms and bugs and parasites. And we just would get in there and mudball each other and go crazy. You're right, Dan. I think, Dan, you might have been the first guy 15, 20 years ago on 98 Rock. You once said that we're going to hand sanitize our children to death. And I was like,
I did say that.
No,
You're
you
right.
did.
I did.
You did. I can remember. And I was like, what are you talking about? And you're like, with all these doting moms that, when you go to the mall, they're hand sanitizing their kid like 15 times, that's going to cause kids not to build, immunity against dirt and bad things. And it's going to end up, making our society, weaker in that kind of stuff. And it's true.
It is true. I mean,
if you're a kid and you go to the mall and you're in the jungle gym, the kid jungle gym, the play area,
the pee pit.
Yeah. And you're in there and you're just, you're just climbing all over these, things and you're, whatever. And your mom, now I would say probably now you would probably hand sanitize maybe one time. Back in the day, there was no hand sanitizer.
It didn't exist. I never even saw that stuff.
You would go to
30 years ago.
You'd go to the monkey bars or the
ball pit
or wherever, and you would just, your hands would be touching this, and that kid's would be touching that, and he'd be wiping his ass, and you'd be picking your burgers, and it just was all a big community petri dish.
And when you were done at the park, if you had dirt on your face, your mom would spit on a napkin and wipe it off.
Exactly.
Yep. That was the best cleaner.
Yeah.
Spit.
Your mom spit.
Yep.
Magical. It fixed boo-boos. It clean
Yeah.
you. Fix your hair.
If you cut your finger, your mom spit on it. If you had a cowlick on your hair, your mom spit on it. If you had dirt on your face, your mom spit on it. Moms were spitters back then, right?
Sure were,
Right.
yeah.
Bet our dads were getting far more oral sex than they are nowadays.